First, let me express our gratitude to the government and people of Ondo State for agreeing to host this council and for the wonderful hospitality that they have shown to us since we arrived. I must thank my dear brother again, and to say that this is the sort of hospitality to expect. We will be back very soon. I'm glad that this meeting of the National Council on the Niger Delta is holding in Ondo State, a Niger Delta state that many people do not readily associate with the Niger Delta, or even with oil and gas at all. But I think it's important to note that this state has the second largest deposit of bitumen in the entire world. Second only to Canada. So it is in every respect, a hydrocarbon-rich state. And of course, eminently qualified by geographical location and resource location to be regarded as part of the Niger Delta. So I believe that holding this meeting here will go a long way in engendering a sense of belonging here, as well as highlighting the breadth of the region's cultural and geographical diversity. Indeed, the Niger Delta is a unique region in several ways. Besides its significance as an economic zone, providing all of the crude oil that accounts for most of our foreign exchange reserves and most of our foreign exchange revenues. It is also ecologically remarkable, being one of the largest wetlands and most biodiverse regions in the world. There's also the region's linguistic and cultural diversity, which I have personally had cause to appreciate more deeply in the recent months as I've toured the Niger Delta states. And I want to say that in the course of that tour, not only have I been exposed to the renowned hospitality of the Niger Delta, but also I have been provided a great insight into the nature of the challenges that this region faces and has faced through the decades. This is exactly the reason why the President, Commander-in-Chief, President Muhammadu Buhari, asked me to go on this series of tours around the Niger Delta, engaging with the local communities, engaging with the leadership of the Niger Delta. And I want to say that that means has been extremely fruitful indeed, and that we will even begin to see greater fruit as we go along. All of the tours have strengthened our resolve as a government to give prompt attention to the affairs of the region. We fully intend to break away from the legacy of broken promises and failed interventions that were inherited when we took over office. I understand that in the 9 years since the establishment of this council, or since the establishment of the Ministry of Niger Delta, this is only the second convening of this National Council, the first being in 2013. We intend to fully restore this council to exercise its mandate as a vehicle for partnership and collaboration for the development of the Niger Delta region. The people of the Niger Delta do not expect our pity or sympathy. What they want and what they deserve is the fulfillment of decades of promises that have been made to them. What they ask for is to be given an opportunity to fulfill the immense potential of this region and to enjoy the peace, security, and development that our Constitution guarantees them as citizens. And this is exactly what the Buhari administration is focused on achieving. For us, the development of the Niger Delta region is not optional. Right from the President's inaugural speech, he has emphasized the administration's commitment to investing in the development of the Niger Delta. We've worked hard to match our words with action, extending a firm hand of fellowship to the Niger Delta, based on the conviction that there can be no development without peace and security. In November 2016, the President met with leaders of the Niger Delta region, assembled then as the Pan-Niger Delta Forum, PANDEF. And since then, I have followed up by traveling extensively throughout the region. on behalf of the President, meeting with communities and stakeholders and listening to their concerns and grievances. All of these conversations and feedback have gone into shaping what we have described as the new vision for the Niger Delta. I've listened and learned a lot, and I've also had a chance to explain in detail our vision for the Niger Delta region. And I must say that these interactions, as I've said earlier, have formed some of the highlights of the work of our administration in this year. Part of the outcome of our feedback gathering process is the establishment of an interministerial committee on the Niger Delta, which I chair, and which the Honourable Minister is the Vice Chair. That committee has produced a draft strategic implementation work plan, which outlines in detail the development projects planned or already being implemented in the Niger Delta by our ministries, by departments and agencies, by all companies, private sector, and other stakeholders. The strategic implementation work plan is a work in progress, undergoing constant fine-tuning. But this kind of consistent engagement, listening and learning is really a prerequisite for progress and development in the Niger Delta. Also in 2016, we launched the Ogoni Cleanup, 5 years after the United Nations report laid the foundation for it. And let me assure you that the Ogoni Cleanup is very much on course, and if things appear to be moving at a slower pace than anticipated, it is for the simple reason that we have learned from the errors of the past, when ambitious schemes were pursued without putting in place the right foundation. And will, of course, take time, as well as a robust regard for due process. We'll not settle for shortcuts and quick fixes just because we want to be seen to be working. Instead, we'll take our time to do the right thing and respectfully ask, continue patience and understanding. But let me say that it's not just about the Ogoni cleanup, it's about the cleanup of the entire polluted portions of the Niger Delta. And we are taking that into account for planning as we go along. The hydrocarbon pollution project is currently carrying out a sensitization of community remediation and restoration of livelihood, as well as training young scientists in the region who will serve as manpower for the supervision of the demonstration sites opened already in the community. The Niger Delta Amnesty Program, which was originally scheduled to has not only been extended, but we've also committed additional resources. An extra 35 billion was added in 2016 alone, and of course in the 2017 budget and in the forthcoming 2018 budget for greater impact on the lives of beneficiaries. The Economic Diversification Initiative, and this is a new initiative, you might have heard about it. PEDI, P-E-D-I, spearheaded by the Ministry of the Niger Delta Affairs, and focused on mobilizing private capital to revive moribund, especially is kicking off here in the Niger Delta region. Firstly, the inaugural investment forum of the barely a month and a half ago. Here, I believe it was here in this that this was launched. The cocoa, rubber, and oil palm plantations being targeted by PEDI were one state of Nigeria's regional economy. Needed taxes and revenues to government and create prosperity that sustained generations of Nigerian farmers, merchants, transporters, and factory workers. As you're all aware, one of our plans for the Niger Delta is to support the establishment of privately owned modular refineries. Many of the licenses handed out by previous administrations that these licenses have been facing has been funded. And as a government that is committed to enabling the private sector, we are now working on the creation of a refinery infrastructure development fund, RIDF, to support these investors. Now, the modular refinery project is supposed to be private sector led, but with the collaboration of the federal government and the state governments. We have done a fair amount of work on these modular refineries. We have released the guidelines for the establishment of modular refineries. I have met with several interested parties from various parts of the Niger Delta region with the investors, and in some cases the state governments. This is a project that we are committed to, these series of modular refineries, the project we are committed to. And we want to urge the state governments also to work with the local communities so that we can draw up the kinds of commercially viable plans that will be useful in sustaining those modular refineries when they're eventually established. In addition, we're training young people who were previously involved in artisanal refining on alternative means of livelihood, including skills that will enable them to participate in the modular refinery when it takes off. I'm pleased to announce also that the federal government has initiated the immediate release of the sum of 2 billion naira for the takeoff of the Maritime University in Arakunrin Delta State. That university, we're determined, will take off next month in October. We believe that as soon as it takes off, of course, academic activities, engagement, and all of that will go on during the period. But we want to signal its takeoff next month, October, as has been promised. We've also reorganized the Niger Delta Development Commission, NDDC, to enable it to effectively play its vital role in the region. This new, invigorated NDDC has since read the Riot Act to all contractors who have abandoned the infrastructure projects awarded to them. In this and many other ways, we are confident that it will quickly make its positive impact felt in the lives of ordinary citizens. Of course, we've been introduced already to the chairman of the NDDC, the distinguished Senator Victor Udoma Egba, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, and the Managing Director, both of whom have shown tremendous commitment to the work that the NDDC is mandated to do by law. Our comprehensive range of programs and initiatives will help ensure that the people of the Niger Delta maximally benefit from the wealth of their land. And it's my hope that this second National Council on the Niger Delta will help deepen and strengthen our collective efforts so far towards the development of the region. It should also provide an avenue to reflect on the journey so far and review the progress made since the last council meeting in Uyo in 2013, as well as refine the vision in line with the evolving expectations of all stakeholders. Very importantly also, the Council provides a platform for the necessary alignment of the various programs and policy initiatives within the federal government and between the federal government, the state governments, and local players. The synergy that results will not only help avoid wasteful duplication of efforts, but will also multiply the impact of every naira invested in the Niger Delta. Earlier, I noted that the ultimate objective of our new vision for the Niger Delta is to ensure that the people of the Niger Delta maximally benefit from the wealth of their land. When we speak of the wealth of the Niger Delta, the default assumption is that this wealth is only crude oil. But that's not so. And let me clarify this. The wealth extends beyond the crude oil that the region has in abundance. The wealth of the Niger Delta includes its agricultural, industrial, environmental, and cultural potential. Even more significant is the human dimension of this potential, and the intellectual and entrepreneurial energy and the talent of millions of young people who call this region home. In the future that we envision for the Niger Delta, the region will no longer be regarded as a byword for environmental degradation and youth restiveness, but instead as a model for environmental and economic recovery and development. I think that the truth is that no matter how we slice it, and when we continue to follow the trends all over the world, it's obvious that oil is not going to last forever. As a matter of fact, everything that we see and all of the studies and indications show that oil is declining very quickly in relevance. In many of the states, who knew that in a few short years, America, which used to be our largest importer of petroleum, no longer imports even a drop of oil. The Asian countries that import our oil today are all in search of replacements for oil. That is why Japan and China, some of the big economies, including India, these nations that take oil, are now developing electric cars. In fact, Japan has more electric charging stations than petrol stations. China has more electric cars than anywhere else in the world. And a lot of European countries are setting deadlines for not using hydrocarbon-run cars anymore. The future of oil is in decline. And that is why it is the duty of the Niger Delta region, especially the leadership of the Niger Delta region, not only to exploit this oil opportunity now, and to ensure that we are not constantly battling about security, about blowing up of pipelines, but that we use the resources now. Because if we don't use the resources now, the resources are not going to be of great use to us in 10, 20 years from now. And it's the duty of the present, the duty of the leadership of the present, to provide for the future. So I believe that it is the great responsibility of this council to ensure that we provide that world, that map, that roadmap for the future. A future that will not necessarily depend on oil, because the Niger Delta is one of the richest and one of the most biodiverse regions in the entire planet. And there's absolutely no reason why we should not be able to develop all of the potential of the region. I have no doubt that with the application of determination and sincerity of purpose, the full potential of the Niger Delta will be fulfilled, and our collective vision for it will be realized. As the federal government, we will be your active partners every step of the way. And I want to say that the government of President Muhammadu Buhari is completely committed to ensuring that the Niger Delta gets justice, that the Niger Delta gets equity, and that the Niger Delta gets all that it deserves, especially as it provides for this nation the revenues, the significant revenues that it uses for development. So I'd like to thank you all very much, and thank my dear brother again for your hospitality, and thank you very much for listening. And I wish you successful deliberations even as you round up your proceedings. Thank you very much.